All right, Rosh Chodesh Sameach. All right. Awesome. Rosh Chodesh Sameach for the month of Av. The month of Av. All right. So, welcome to all of you. If you're online, welcome. And so what we're going to do is have a very brief Rosh Chodesh service. Then I'm likely to have a few words to say, possibly. I know. You're surprised. It's shocking. I get it. Okay, so, but we do have some things to talk about. And then we can hang out for a little bit if you want to hang out a little bit and enjoy each other's company as we celebrate the new moon, the new month of the month of Av. But the service first, and the service is a participation, read along with me type of slide-driven. I call it slides because we're reading slides. Okay, and if you're online, we'll have the slides on the screen. And so you should be participating with us at home or wherever you are. Of course, if you're in a place that you can't say things out loud, then that's different, because perhaps depending on what time zone you're in, you may be still working. And so we are doing the Rosh Chodesh service. And so we'll begin with the slides. If you'll all rise, we'll begin with the sounding of the silver trumpet. Amen. Amen. All right, so we're going to read these slides together, beginning with Psalm 51 and verse 15. Yahweh sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Yahweh, open my lips that my mouth declare your praise. May the expressions of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart find favor before you, Yahweh, my rock and my redeemer. Also in the day of your gladness, and in your appointed times, and in the beginnings of your months, you shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your Elohim. I am Yahweh your Elohim. The Kedushat Levanah, the sanctification of the new moon. O Yahweh, our Elohim and Elohim of our fathers, make this coming month one of good and blessing. Grant us long life, a life of peace, of good, of blessing, of sustenance, of vigor. A life marked by a reverence for you and a dread of sin. A life free from shame and reproach, a life of prosperity and honor. A life in which love of the living Torah and the fear of Elohim animates us. A life in which our heartfelt desires are fulfilled for good. In the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, Amen. Amen. He who performed miracles for our fathers and liberated them from slavery to freedom, may he quickly liberate us and gather our exiles from the four corners of the earth, and let us say, Amen. All right, the new moon of the month of Av is today. May it prove to be good and fruitful for all 12 tribes of Israel. Now, before we continue, just to mention, so sometimes we do the first of the month towards the end of the day. That's the first of the month. Like today is already the first. Okay, going into sundown will be the second. And sometimes you do it at the very beginning. It's basically based on sundown. I mean, it's harder for us to do this after sundown when sundown's 9 o'clock at night. Okay? Easier for us to get it done before sundown at the end of the day. All right. May the set apart one, blessed be he, grant this Rosh Chodesh to us and to all his people, for life and peace, for gladness and joy, for deliverance and consolation, and let us say, Amen. Blessed, praised, glorified, honored, and exalted be the name of the King of Kings, the set-apart one, Blessed be he who is the first and the last, and beside him there is no Elohim. Extol him in the heavens, Yahweh is his name. Rejoice before his face, his name is honored beyond all blessing and praise. Blessed be his name, whose glorious kingdom is forever. Let the name of Yahweh be blessed forever and ever. Amen. In Isaiah 66, the last verses there in 22 and 23. For as the new heavens and the new earth that I make stand before me, declares Yahweh, so your seed and your name shall stand. And it shall be that from Rosh Chodesh to Rosh Chodesh, and from Shabbat to Shabbat, all flesh shall come to worship before me, declares Yahweh. Amen. All right, Rosh Chodesh Sameach. All right, that's it. Go home. No, I'm kidding. All right, have a seat. All right, have a seat. All right. I thought because we do probably have, I don't know, how many we got on there, Rob, right now? Okay, 128 computers logged on. Maybe some of those are new people. So I do want to go through some of the, quick version of the announcements, just to kind of point out some of the things that, may be available. All right, so before we go through this, I want you to understand that, this ministry is not here to promote us, but we are here to let you know of things that we provide that we believe that the Father wants us to provide, and so you can have access to these things. There is nothing for sale. Okay, we're not trying to push anything that you have to purchase, sign in, and join as a member of, and have a subscription for. I mean, all these things that are provided free. Now, of course, we want to welcome our guests, okay? And so you guys as guests, this is why I want to go through the things that we do. So first of all, we stream twice a week. So we stream on Saturdays, okay? We have our Shabbat service, and so that starts at 1:15 Eastern time here. It really starts at 1 on the live stream. We go live with the service 15 minutes later with the sounding of the shofar. So the first 15 minutes, you're going to see slides like this, maybe hear some of Brianna's music, of our praise leader's music. You may hear clips from some of the teachings and other things that we have out there that you can hear, getting you ready for the service that starts at 1:15. The service runs about 4 hours and change, goes to about 5:30. Some of you are thinking, oh my gosh. What do you guys do for 5 hours? Well, you know what? All of these previous services are on our website. On YouTube, you can go watch any of them and see what we do for 5 hours, okay? But I'll tell you right now, we don't usually tell you this during the announcements, but all right, so we start off with praise. We sing and make a joyful noise to our King. All right, then we take up prayer needs among the congregation, okay? So we have praise reports and prayer needs. Then we do some liturgy. Same type of liturgy that our Messiah would have been doing in the synagogues back when he walked on the earth, okay? And then from there, we go into a teaching, and from the teaching, we then go into a Q&A session we call the afterburn. And that really does take you through that amount of time. I could also tell you, if you've been watching on live stream and it seems long, come here, it goes quicker. I don't know why time moves faster here, it just does. Okay? All right, so that's every Saturday at 1:15. You're welcome to join us live if you want to. If you're in town, we're in Cleveland, Tennessee, and you're always welcome to come and join us here. All right, if you do come, because of the length of the service, we have a meal afterwards, and you're welcome to stay for that meal afterwards. It's biblically kosher is what we ask you to bring. It is picnic style. You're bringing for yourself. Okay, if you bring some extra for others to share, that's fine too. All right. And if you happen to be in town and it's like somehow you're not able to, have something to bring, we always have food ready on our hospitality table for those guests that come, okay? All right, we also stream on Friday nights with our Erev Shabbat service, and then goes into our Torah study. So the Erev Shabbat service and meal is for the local congregation here, starts at 6 o'clock, and then we live stream at 7:30 our Torah study. Now, that Torah study is a journey for a one-year cycle from Genesis through Deuteronomy. This is called the Parsha cycle, and we do have a schedule of those on our website, okay? And you can download those. I think it's under, Holy Days, it's under Media. It says it right there on the screen. If I would just read the screen, it would be there. All right, because Harold didn't change the screen, that's why. Okay. Okay, so you can get this under the media tab on our website at mtoi.org. All right, now, we also have a program that goes through the same cycle, but for the children, okay, because we want to help the children understand what it is that we do, and as Abba decides to pop their bubbles and get excited about it, but want to do this at their level. And so this program is developed by the tremendously talented Rebbitzin Julie, who also happens to be my wife. Okay, and she's just fantastic. I mean, look, it's not just that she's my wife that she does this, because she's the best at it, okay? She just understands children and making programs for them and just does an incredible job. So if you want your children to have something to do between really ages 5 through about 19, this program is for them, especially the younger ones. We have a separate website for this. It's called ymtoi.org. It stands for Young Messianic Torah Observant Israelites. Okay, ymtoi.org. And the program's called Parsha Pearls. Now, it's really two programs, a younger group and an older group. Same exact Torah portion that week, and the younger group is called the Gem Seekers, ages 5 through 8, and then the Pearl Seekers are 9 to about 19. And so that includes also what we call the older children, or Gadol, which is the teenagers, but it's really the Pearl Seekers. Now, these are PDFs. They run about 30-something pages each week, 30, 35 pages every week. And they include child-friendly stories and lessons, lesson questions, Hebrew word studies, memory verses, word searches, crossword puzzles, mazes, crafts, notebook pages, coloring pages, even a song and a snack. And all of that is free, and all of it is related to that week's Torah portion. It's not like, well, we talked a little bit about the Torah portion, and we just gave them a bunch of games to do. Everything that's in there is related to that week's portion. Okay? Now, that program publishes every Sunday, so you have it for the whole week. So what we do on Friday publishes the previous Sunday. So you'll have it all week long before we get to the one we do that Friday night, okay? And so, what's really exciting is we're about to start a new book. We're kicking into Devarim, okay? So Devarim published on Sunday, all right, so a couple of days ago, and we'll be doing that on Friday, okay, book of Deuteronomy. Okay, we also have audio scripture readings. If you like to hear the word read, our own Shira Wendling did a fantastic job of reading the word, and you can listen free and download it on the MTOI website under the media tab. Okay, then we have on YouTube, every day of the week, we publish various things. Again, all of this is just to hopefully be a blessing to you. We have what's called the First Look on Monday. It's kind of like a movie preview. Like the full teaching that's going to come out on Wednesday, we give you a little preview of it on Monday. All right, so First Look, which is powerful sound bites from each week's full teaching. And then on Tuesdays, we have our shorts. We use the YouTube Shorts feature, and on our app, on the MTOI app, we call these Rabbi Trails. And these are short, little 1 minute or less videos. I think we publish about 10 of each. Each week we put 10. This is on Tuesdays. And I think we have different ones, too, on the Rabbi Trails versus the Shorts. So you got double that you can listen to. And these come from various teachings throughout the years. And they're thought-provoking, sometimes humorous, things, sometimes provoking just to be provoking. I don't know. They're just funny things that I've said from the microphone that are meant to kind of get you kind of stirred up to really go forward. You know what I'm saying? All right, then Wednesday. Wednesday is the full teaching. This week we've been featuring the last Zone 1 meeting. We'll talk about what that is in a minute. But so this is the In the Zone Q&A session from July. And so that's this week. All right, then we have on Thursdays our afterburn. So Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday are all connected to the same teaching. Okay? Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday are all connected to the same teaching. So after each teaching, I always take questions. And so the question and answer session, which, by the way, can go as long as the teaching, or longer, that's recorded, and then we publish that, because it really is an opportunity for people to ask questions that you may already have, and for the teacher, me most of the time, to answer those questions, to clarify and give more detail about something that maybe was a little bit confusing or unclear for you. So it's a great, powerful tool that we have doing these afterburns. And then we have on Fridays what we call an In Focus. It's short videos that focus on topics that affect our relationship with Yahweh and with each other. And these are from previous teachings, not the same one that week. And these run about, 6, 7 to 12, 15 minutes. Think of it like a little side rabbi trail that was in the middle of a teaching, that was cohesive enough to hold its own and really make somewhat of a complete thought, but it also was connected to that teaching. And so we popped it out and just gave it to you as something you can listen to. And so that's something that's available on Fridays, and these are fairly short. Marty does such a great job of picking titles for it that you might just be provoked to watch it just because you want to know what the title came from. Because it's always something I said during the video, and I don't even remember saying some of these things, and I read the title of the info because I go, I don't remember why I said that. Let me go listen to the video. And some of those titles really do stand out. Like one of them was Messianic Whack-A-Mole. I just think that, these are the funny titles that come up, all right? Or Picking on Nicodemus, or these kind of things, right? So those are on Fridays. And by the way, whatever teaching it came from will also be noted there on the screen, so you can go back and listen to the whole teaching if you want. All right, we are on social media. On Facebook, it's MTOI Worldwide. On Instagram, it's MTOI/worldwide, or _ worldwide. And, you're welcome to reach out with us there. And we have an app. We're very excited about our app. Over 3,000 people have this app now, right? 3,100 and something, whatever it is. All right? That's kind of mind-blowing. I remember wanting an app so bad for years, and now we have one with over 3,000 downloads. That's because, look, we've got about 41, almost 42,000 or something like that subscribers on the YouTube channel. But, that could have been somebody showed up once and hit and clicked and then disappeared and never watches it. But somebody went to get the app is a little bit more serious about interacting with us, downloading that onto their phone and having it there. So that's a pretty impressive number. And when I say impressive, it means that we're reaching people. I'm not impressed with me or numbers as far as it concerns me. He gave me a job to reach people. These are ways to measure the effectiveness of that, right? And so I'm excited about that. All right. A lot of you should have gotten, all of you should have gotten the notification that I sent out last Friday. I should have sent one out today for Rosh Chodesh. I'm going to try to send these out more through the app. But in order to get those notifications, you need to go to your settings and make sure your general notifications is on. Okay, so you tap on the account icon, then you scroll down to where it says notifications, tap on that. Okay, then make sure the green light is on the general tab, right? So the general notifications is on. Because and by the way, if you do that, then you should get something on your phone that pops up and says, hey, there was a notification. I think I sent everybody a Shabbat Shalom last Friday just to kind of get that system working, and we're going to try to send those out on a more regular basis, maybe something encouraging, whatever it is that may be important, especially if something really, like let's say the world really starts to implode and explode in a really terrible way. I might need to reach everybody, and quickly, so have that notification on. All right. What else do you have in the slides here, since I don't have anything in front of me? Okay, so we have a Torah teen class, okay, that's led by our own Rabbi Tom Mitchell. Okay, this is every Thursday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and 9 p.m., so we do it twice a day. Okay, this is for teenagers. That means 13 to 19, not 11 or 8, I guess 8 is 18, but not anything under 13 or over 19. No 20, 25, or anything like that. What that means is, okay, so first of all, this is on Zoom. Zoom is a audio-visual chat, right? So you get a link for this. You email us at TorahTime@mtoi.org. You get this link. It's an autoresponder. Don't type anything in. Just send the email, and it will send you the link. Now, because it's a video chat, we want the teenagers to do two things. Number one, we want them to have the experience of interacting with one of the leadership people without coaxing or worry about what their adult around them may think about what they say. We want them to just be free to try to find their way into their being themselves in dealing with someone like Rabbi Tom, who's great with the teenagers, okay? So if you are worried or concerned about whatever they're doing in that class, you're welcome to come in the room like near where your child is, but try to stay off camera because they're going to have their cameras on because the teenagers like to be able to see each other and have fun. But the thing is, once you walk in the room, it changes the dynamic. Not of what Rabbi Tom's going to say, but what the teenagers are going to say. And so, try to stay off camera until you feel comfortable if that's what you need to do. And then just go ahead and let your teenager have the privacy so that they also can feel comfortable to try to be themselves. Ask the questions they want to ask, make comments they want to make. All right? So it's a great way for them to, the first thing is to learn how to interact with Rabbi Tom. The second thing is so they can find that comfort zone dealing with the scriptures and interacting with their peers. And we do have, 25 or so to 30 teenagers on a regular basis from all over the world in the room. We get a bunch from South Africa. We get some from the Philippines. We get some from, where else? South Africa, Philippines, where else? UK, Canada, Fiji, Tennessee. Okay. As far away places as Tennessee. Okay. All right. So we do get people from all over the place. It's fantastic, very exciting. I know the teenagers that are here that participate really enjoy it. And you know what? They show up every single week because they want to. Nobody makes them do it. They do it because they really want to. It's a great program. All right. Again, it's on Zoom. Yes? Oh, yeah. A lot of the teenagers are starting to show up a little earlier than 1 o'clock or whatever, so they get a few extra minutes, so that they can talk to each other and chat. And Rabbi Tom also lets them, in a supervised way, interact with each other, sometimes for a good 15 or 20 minutes afterwards, just so the teenagers can interact with each other, knowing that they're also teenagers that are similar to them and that they're scripturally focused, trying to figure out this walk, and they can get to really realize, I'm not by myself. I'm not the only one doing this. So it's really good stuff. All right, then we have what I call zone meetings. Okay, zone meetings is my way of breaking the world up into 3 separate zones based on ranges of time zones. Okay, that's why I call them zone meetings. I knew that we were going to be serving an international spectrum, okay? We're going to be reaching people everywhere because, after all, we use the internet, which reaches everybody everywhere. So I also realized that it's not Shabbat at the same time all over the world because of the time zones. And so when we do our service here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, well, in places like the Philippines, that's like 1 o'clock in the morning, okay, because they're 12 hours. Places like maybe Australia and New Zealand, it's like 3 or 4 in the morning or even later. So it's already not Sabbath anymore. Even like Europe from here is 5 to 6 hours, depending on when we move our clocks around. And that 5 to 6 hours means that it's already getting closer to sundown where they are, especially in the wintertime. And so we're not doing Shabbat with them if they're live streaming with us. So once a month, I do something when it's Sabbath where they are, where it's Shabbat where they are. And then I can interact. Now, the first one is for the local people here, which is Zone 1, which is the U.S., Canada, Mexico, South and Central Americas, and all of the time zones in that same range, right? Any of the countries in that same range. Now, there's so many of you that we break this up every other month between the local people here and the people on live stream. And what I mean by break it up is that these meetings are about a Q&A session. It's a chance for you to ask me questions. Because after all, hopefully you've realized the Ruach doesn't answer all your questions. You have questions. And you know what? It's designed that way. That's how the vertical structure is designed, that you should need to seek that out to get answers to questions. Why would you need a vertical structure if you were just directly getting answers? But he wants you to learn structure. Okay, so we do this once a month for people to ask questions. So the next Zone 1 is for you guys locally right here. All right, that's this coming up on August the 5th. All right, so you guys get your questions already. And everybody in the U.S., Canada, and the rest of those places, Zone 1, you will be asking your questions in September. So it's every other month. Okay, now, then we get to Zone 2. Oh, by the way, Zone 1, we'll go back to for a second, I forgot to mention. So that's during services that first Saturday of the month instead of the teaching time. So that's live on YouTube. Now switch. So Zone 2 and Zone 3, these are on Zoom, just like the Torah time thing for the teens, the Torah teens. This is on Zoom, but it has a different link. You email us at zoom@mtoi.org, zoom@mtoi.org, to get that link. Again, it's an autoresponder, so you just get the link automatically. We don't change the link, at least we haven't at this point, so if you have it once, it's the same link, always works. Same thing with the Torah time for the kids. All right, now, so Zone 2 is the UK, Europe, Africa, all those places sort of within that range, going in towards Eastern Europe, even into maybe India area. Just some of that, we're talking about the 5 to about 10 hours ahead of us type of range, okay, of where we are right here. And so if you're on the border between one zone or the other, you're welcome to try to go to both, and we'll figure out which one you fit in. But everybody's welcome to all the meetings. The only difference is wherever you live, this determines who gets to ask the questions, okay? All of you can go to all 3 meetings. All right, so Zone 2, that means the people who live in Zone 2 get to ask the questions. It's on Zoom. It's the second Saturday of the month, all right? Zone 1 was the first Saturday. Zone 2 is the second Saturday, and that's at 10 a.m. because it's going to be 5 to 6 hours at least into that zone, and so we want to make sure that it's still Shabbat mostly where they are, okay? And then we get to Zone 3. This is like Australia, New Zealand, Japan, the Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, Fiji, China, and lots of other countries I'm forgetting that and by the way, I'm only mentioning countries that I know we've had people who attend on a regular basis. So I'm not just randomly picking countries. These are, every place I've mentioned, people do attend these meetings, right? And so they're a good, 12 to 17 hours ahead of us. And so any of those places, you're welcome to come to these meetings and ask your questions. And that's on the third Friday of the month, right? Zone 3, third Friday. Zone 1, first Saturday. Zone 2, second Saturday. Zone 3, third Friday. Friday night, because I need 12 to 17 hours for it to still be Shabbat where they are. So it's at the beginning of Shabbat here. It's well into Shabbat where they are, okay? And that's at 10 p.m., which like in the Philippines might be like 10 a.m., okay? And in New Zealand, it might be noon or something, or 1 or whatever it is. So you're going to get those kind of things. All right, so those are our zone meetings. If you have questions, please bring them to the zone meetings. That's the primary way to get your questions answered, or contact us directly. Now, if you want to contact us directly, you have a few options. You could try to call here if you have if you don't have any problem calling here. Our phone number's on our website. And if you want to pay attention, I'll give it to you now. It's 423-250-3020. But you can also email us, because maybe you're a little shy. You don't want to get on a mic or camera on zone meetings and ask your questions or stand up here. So you can email us a question to MTOI, questions at MTOI.org, or you can go to our Contact Us page, MTOI.org/contact us, and then scroll to the bottom of that page. There's a form to fill out to send in a question. Rabbi Tom mostly screens those questions initially, so he gets to see them. And then, if it passes through that first screening level, then it maybe gets to me, etc. But by screening level, it's about if he can answer it, he'll answer it, okay? And that way, it helps me not to have quite the load on my plate there. All right, now, the next Leadership Council meeting is on August the 13th. Okay, so for those of you who are watching, first time finding us, we do have a Leadership Council. It's made up of leaders from around the world that are extensions of this congregation. We have about 25 of them around the world. And we are, by the way, going to have on, this is in the future, get excited about this, coming soon to a theater near you. No, coming soon, we're going to have slides that are going to show you where everybody is. So we'll list the congregations around the U.S., Canada, and other countries, and you guys will have points of reference for all of that. We're also going to have a page on our website that actually has all the contact people for all of those congregations as well. Okay, so we're going to get that going. We had by the way, we had a great leadership meeting this past Sunday, so that was fantastic. And just so you know, they're all volunteers, except for me, an elder. Okay, I guess in Rabbi Tom, those are the only people that work for me, right? Everybody else is volunteers. And they sat in that meeting from noon till 5, okay? Went good, solid 5 hours and change. And they're just incredible people. Pray for them. Ask Abba to bless them. Almost, I would say 90% of them have been with us for years now. Okay, just really solid, committed people. But for you, your thing is to know that when we get together, you should be praying that Abba would inspire us, because all we care about is how we can work together as effectively as possible, on behalf of you, his body, okay? All right, then we got some holy days coming up. You got Rosh Hashanah, right? Which is also what? Rosh Chodesh. It is Rosh Chodesh for Tishrei. Okay, so that's coming up in September the 16th. Now, between now and then, we have another month called Elul. We'll get to that as well. So there's one more coming before we get to this one in August. But Rosh Hashanah is on Saturday, so it's going to be our normal Saturday service, enhanced by it also being a Rosh Hashanah service. Okay, so it's going to have elements of both. But we're going to do that on Saturday, September the 16th. That's followed by Monday the 25th with Yom Kippur. All right? And so service will be at about 5. We're going to start at 5 o'clock. We're going to hopefully time that so that we're done. By the time we're finished, we can change the room over and we can break the fast together. So if you want to do that, bring your food with you. Don't eat it. Don't taste it. Don't make sure it's okay. Just bring it with you. And then we're going to put that in the back kitchen area and leave it there till after services. And so I'm scheduling it late because I want you to have most of the day to be focusing between you and him. And by the way, don't get mad at me. I want you to starve. I want you to be hungry. I want your stomach disturbing your peace the whole day. Because so then you're thinking about hungry. And if you think about hungry, you should be redirected to think about, I'm fasting for my relationship. See, if you don't get hungry, it's not going to do any good. All right? So, now for some of you who fast on a regular basis, you may not get all that hungry. You're going to have to make sure to keep reminding yourself why you're doing what you're doing, right? Because you're not going to have your stomach reminding you. But it's a good thing if your stomach is grumbling a little bit, because it reminds you that without him, you'd have nothing. Without him, you would starve. You understand what I'm saying? All the metaphors are there and are triggered by you being aware of your hunger. All right? So I want you to be hungry. Now, in advance, let me just remind you, though, that if you have health issues that require you to eat, you're a diabetic, you have certain medication that you can't take on an empty stomach, then please do the minimum necessary to maintain your health. But, the Father he'll take care of me. No, look, can I just say something? And this will go into sort of what I'll say afterwards. I'm just thinking if I just wait. I'm going to forget, so I'll say it now. All right? You guys need to break free of your Christian mindsets. Because the Christian mindset has you thinking that you can do any dumb thing and he'll rescue you. Well, I'm just going to go do this dumb thing and trust Yahweh. And then it blows up in your face because he just watches you going, that was dumb. By the way, parents do this with kids sometimes. Kid does something dumb, we just watch. We know they're not going to get hurt too bad, but we just go watch. And so just realize that. So don't think, I can get off my medication or not eat or some other thing, and of course, he won't let me get in trouble. Well, no, he's going to let you get in trouble to show you being stupid. And you're being stubborn. And you know why you're being stupid and stubborn? Is because, now this is where it gets tough. Or easy. I should say it could be easy for some of you. Either one day you're finally going to understand my role, or you're not. If you understand my role, what is my role? To speak on his behalf. Not in an arrogant way, but to speak on his behalf. That's a vertical leadership role. And if I tell you that, now again, only if I have that actual placement by him. If I'm a phony, then don't listen to me. But if I'm a phony, I don't even know why you're listening now. But if I'm anointed and appointed to be on his behalf to make these kinds of Deuteronomy 17 decisions, if I tell you you are to eat to maintain your blood sugar, then if you don't, you're not listening to him. If I tell you to eat because you have medication, so you have to have some food with the medication, then you need to do what I told you to do because it's coming from him. Or it's not. If it's not, then why are you even here? Okay? That's as simple as. Let's break free of the mindset that, there's a guy whose job it is to speak, and that doesn't mean he's any other more important than that. He's just there to teach and speak, and because somebody has to. Read Ephesians 4:11, where Paul talks about 5 very important roles. We call it the fivefold ministry thing, as Christianity calls it anyway. And those people are anointed and appointed, read verse 12 and 13, to bring you guys into a unity, to be conformed into the fullness and completeness that is Messiah, but in unity of belief. That's the wording. So it's not just another talking head in front of a microphone. There's plenty of those. Some of those may actually be some of those fivefold guys, but you, sorry to tell you this, you have the task of figuring that out. That's where you pray for Yahweh's discernment. That's your problem and your job. I could get up here and claim to be anything I want. It doesn't matter. Either I am or I'm not. You got to figure it out. What anybody in front of a microphone claims is not that important unless you get confirmation that that is correct. And if it's correct, then you better get behind it. Oh, but I thought you were great till you made this decision I didn't like. Well, how does that change anything? Don't you think I'm going to make some decisions you're not going to like? Look, Yahweh's going to make some decisions you don't like. We had a guy, and I feel so bad for him, and I'm not being sarcastic. He was very not healthy, and his wife was in fairly good shape, and then all of a sudden she got a very aggressive cancer and died, and he lived, and he was not happy with that decision that Yahweh made. He caused or allowed him to live and her to die first. And he was very not all right with that. The two of them had already been okay with him going first because they saw it coming, they knew it was coming, they were prepared for it. Yahweh's going to make a whole bunch of decisions that are right, but you're not going to agree with it, or you're not going to like it, or it's not going to make sense to you. If that's true, then he's probably going to make those kind of things coming out of whoever his anointed, appointed people's mouths are. You know. We had something that we talked about on Saturday. I'm not going to reiterate it, but you know what? I do actually appreciate that we got a tremendous amount, more than almost ever, of people appreciating how we handled it. Okay, Elder he was so just blessed and surprised and pleasantly surprised to see that most people thought we handled it well. Okay? On the other hand, we have a few people had a problem with it. Well, but that's okay. My question then becomes, if you have a problem with my choices, why do you still attend? And you're thinking, you're not supposed to say things like that. Well, according to who? Yahweh's like, if you don't behave in my house, I'm kicking you out. He told Israel that and kicked them out. Threw them right out of the land. Said, you don't behave in my property, I'm throwing you out. And I'm not bringing you back next week either. It's been a few thousand years. Okay? So just keep that in mind, that the bluntness you're going to get from me. Oh, you don't like that I say this or I say that. Fine. You don't have to like it. What you have to do is decide, is it me or is it Memorex? I mean, is it me or is it him? Okay? Because he didn't choose a robot to just stand out here like an AI of some sort to just speak his words or something. He chose me, if he chose me, right? With my personality and all of whatever it is, it's me. And if you have a problem with that, take it up with the boss. Okay, because I'm not the boss. I'm just working for the boss. So don't be surprised if you have an issue and I say, that's fine, then don't come. Go somewhere else. And you think, oh, man, that's so mean. No, because I'm not this ooey-gooey, Christianized, we need everybody to show up thing. No, I don't need everybody to show up, neither does he. Do you understand not everybody gets in? Why don't they get in? Because they don't do what's necessary. Why do they say, Lord, Lord? And he says, get away from me. Because you may think the people who don't get in are the ones who reject him outright and they're really evil, nasty people. What about the ones who said, Lord, Lord? He said, depart from me, get away from me. So let's be aware. I mean, this is part of your Rosh Chodesh teaching as well, okay? Let's be aware that, part of why you're here is to handle what you don't like. To handle things that rub you the wrong way, to handle things that are uncomfortable. In the face of your knowing you're in the right place. But if you don't know you're in the right place, then it's easy to leave. It's easy to decide well, I don't like that, so I'm going to go. Well, good. Please go. I know you don't like me to say that. Look, do you understand that I don't need there to be a lot of people? As a matter of fact, I don't need there to be any people. I'll go get a different job. I'll start another business. I don't need this. I do this because he wants me to do this. He's made me to do this. So I do it. And I only do it, you ready for this? As long as there's somebody to listen. As long as anybody's willing to listen. I told my wife that. One time, somebody tried to destroy our congregation, wasn't sure anybody was going to be there the next week. And I said, look, we'll show up. If nobody's there, we'll go home. I mean, as long as there's people there, I'm going to do the job. As long as somebody shows up. Because my job is to talk and there be an audience. As long as there's an audience. That's why most times if anybody offers me a mic, I'll take it. I don't care who they are because it's a chance to do what he wants me to do, which is to speak on his behalf. And by the way, I don't care who it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it or say anything just because I'm like in the middle of some place that what I say won't fly very well. Then don't invite me, which is, by the way, probably why nobody invites me anyway. because they don't want this from their stage, okay? But just kind of keep that in mind. I care. I know I say often I don't care. I care, but I only care about one thing. Working with the whomsoever wills, not the whomsoever whines. Well, that's a new one. I like that one. You like that one, Elder? Okay. Okay, I want to work with the whomsoever wills, not the whomsoever whines. Maybe he sent me here to grow you up. Maybe he sent me here to make you look at yourself. You guys all look at me. How about looking at yourself? How about asking the question, if I said something or did something that bothers you, why don't you ask the question, why does it bother you, not why did I do it? Well, Rabbi, I don't understand why you said that. Well, why don't you look and figure out why it bothers you, as opposed to trying to figure out why I said that. This week, last week, every week, somebody calls us, emails us or something to try to tell us how we should do what we're doing. Would you like others to influence this? Well, it's not happening, so don't worry about it. But I'm telling you, Elder can tell you, whether it's a phone call or an email, everybody's trying to tell me how to do what I'm doing. And by that I mean, you shouldn't say that, or you should do this. So it's do's and don'ts. Well, the do's and don'ts come from him. Does anybody think for a second if he wanted to straighten me out, he wouldn't? Of course he would. Why would you think he wouldn't? No, but you think it's your job. It's not your job. Okay? Can I ask you a question? In Scripture, when you see correction coming, it's usually a prophet sent to a king. So that's leadership, right? Do you ever see anybody going to correct the prophet? Do you? No. Kings have tried it, and the kings were told, you're wrong. Yahweh stood up and said, no, the prophet was right. So just, because some of you think, well, Yahweh sent me to straighten out all these preachers. No, he didn't. There's nowhere in Scripture is that ever done. Now, occasionally you hear somebody say things like, Yeshua, one of the apostles, say that there are false teachers out there, false preachers, and that's a general statement outside. But they're not sent directly to go to that person and get in their face or anything. You don't see that anywhere. So don't you add to the Scriptures, because that's not what we're supposed to be doing. And by the way, let's get back to Yom Kippur is coming. You know what that means? You got a lot to repent for. You got to own your stuff. That's a day of owning your stuff. Yom Kippur is coming. We'll talk more as we get to Elul about getting into the days of awe. Okay? And actually, it's like a 40-day period, so we'll start before we even get to Elul. All right, well, I guess we start at the beginning of Elul. So it takes you through the 30 days of Elul and the 10 days into Tishrei, okay? But right now, I want you to understand that Yom Kippur is coming, and so here's part of that vertical deal. I will let you know when it's sundown and you can eat. Now, you can eat whenever you want, or you can choose to submit that I will tell you when it's dark. Because you may look out on your clock on your phone going, well, it says it's sundown, but I'm going to look outside, and if I don't think it's sundown, it's not sundown. And you'll wait. And then I'll announce it. And I don't know why that would be a big rush anyway. You can't fast an extra 5 or 10 minutes, really? It's healthy to do 2 or 3 days on a regular basis. You can't make it through one day? Well, I've never done it before. I'm afraid. What are you afraid of? Because I'm addicted to food. You fast a little bit, guess what? You'll break the addiction. Because after a couple of days, you're not addicted anymore. But you can recreate it quickly when you start putting junk back in later. So you got to be careful what you put back in later. All right. After Yom Kippur, back to our announcements. Now back to our regularly scheduled announcements. All right, Sukkot is coming. Do you have any idea how many we got, Marlene? Do you have any idea how many? 350 something? What are we up to? Sure, okay. It was almost 350 yesterday. I know we had a few more today. So we have over 350 people already signed up. And I know you're going to find this to be a surprise and rare. I'm proud of all you local people because only a handful, maybe 10 or 15 of you haven't signed up yet. So I'm very proud of that. And some of the 15 are the same 15 that we always deal with, so we're not surprised. Okay, so, but I'm really proud of you. but just bear in mind, we still expect this to go well north of 400 because it's not even August, okay? And we usually get about 50 to 100 last-minute people. We still got people that are deciding whether or not they're going to make the trip all the way here, and so we do expect that to go up. So if you are planning to come, please get your registration in. You call here is the best way to do it. You go online and fill out the form at mtoi.org/Sukkot. It'll be from September the 29th to October 8th. We'll be doing it right here. We'll have what we call the big MTOI tent of meeting out on the property here, so we'll be seating about 500 in that if that's what we need to. And then we'll be eating in here. We could seat about 370. So guess what? Those numbers don't match, which means that we have more people eating than we have seats for. That means we won't have seats for you. So first come, first serve as far as signing up, not as far as showing up. So you're going to need this, you want to guarantee yourself a seat in the meals, you need to register. Okay, because as soon as we sell out on that, I can't make more space in here. Okay? We can fit as many as we need to in the tent. We just move some chairs around, and we can squeeze probably 500 or 600 in there. In here, it fits what it fits, period. Okay, because we put more in here, we won't be able to move around at all or get the food out here or anything else. So I would hurry up and get your stuff in. All right, so that's it for the announcements. Let's go into some things I want to talk about, because I haven't talked about anything yet. So this is something I don't do a lot of. Well, let me see what I want to do with this. First, I want to put out sort of an encouragement warning. First, actually, I'm going to get a sip of water. Then I'll give an encouragement warning. Camera people won't like it if I put it out there. Okay, so get that ugly water bottle off your table there. All right, listen, encouragement warning, okay? There are absolutely valuable things that we can glean from both sides of the spectrum, meaning things that we could have gotten or should have gotten out of the Jewish side and things we could have gotten or should have gotten out of the Christian side. Because there are some things both sides figured out reasonably well and a lot of things that are a mess, okay? Here's the caution, though. When I share things that are done by one side or the other, I don't want you to take that as an encouragement to go in that direction. I'm just sharing some things. So we have a Jewish, more focused thing happening right now. Right now, we're in this period of time between the 17th of Harivi'i and the 9th of Av. Okay, it's a 3-week period that is generally understood to be when most of the horrible things happened in Israel's history. Israel as a nation, not the physical place, since 1948, okay? It's known to be when the spies went to spy out the land. It's known to be when both temples were destroyed. It's known to be when all kinds of terrible things happened, okay? So that's, from a Jewish perspective, is a period of sadness, okay? And with Tisha B'Av, or the 9th of Av, in Hebrew it's Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av being what's known as the saddest day of the year. And I've done a teaching on this before. Rabbi Tom's done a teaching on this before. We've shared about this. Okay? Now, this is, just so that you guys can have this, if you're in Zechariah, okay? Zechariah chapter 8, I believe. Okay? In Zechariah 8 and in verse 19, it talks about, well, let me open it up and read it to you. All right? Zechariah 8. Helps if I have it facing the right direction here. Okay, let's see. Zechariah chapter 8, verse 19. It says, "Thus said Yahweh of hosts, the fast of the 4th, the fast of the 5th, and the fast of the 7th, and the fast of the 10th months are to be joy and gladness, and pleasant appointed times for the house of Yehuda, and they shall love the truth and the peace." Do you see, how many fasts do you see in Leviticus 23? 1. Do you see any other commanded fasts anywhere? No. So what are these fasts that he's referring to? Okay, so you have the fast of the 4th month, which is the one that I just mentioned, Harivi'i, on the 17th. This is when the walls were breached by Nebuchadnezzar. You got that in 2 Melachim, 2 Kings 25, verses 3 and 4, and in Jeremiah 52, verses 6 and 7. Then you have the fast of the 5th month. What month did we just start? The 5th month. That's the month of Av. And so Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av. So this is a fast day by Jewish tradition. It's not a Yahweh commanded thing. Okay? However, he honors it here in Zechariah. He's saying these fasts will be turned into days of celebration at some point. Right now, they're mourning, they're sad days. Okay? The fast of the 7th month is the 3rd of Tishrei. It's called the fast of Gedaliyahu, and that's in Jeremiah 41. Then you have the 10th of Tevet, the 10th month, which is the siege of Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar, began on that day. Okay? So that's in 2 Kings 25:1 and Jeremiah 52:4. And so these are actually referenced here in Zechariah. So some people might say, well, where's all this stuff? Well, it's actually in this one verse they're mentioned. Not mentioned as commandments, but recognized as something that Judah did, because it talks about Yehuda here, Judah. Okay? And so what I want us to understand is that this one that's the fast of the 5th month that's coming up, the Tisha B'Av, this is also known on the Hebraic calendar as the saddest day of the year. So the Jews have very specific prohibitions and things that they do or don't do on those days. I'm not going to get into those because I'm not encouraging you to do or not do them. But what I do want you to think about, okay, is that these are days that are set aside for weeping. But weeping about what? Okay? Because there are all these things that happened in those days. Okay, we have the destruction of the first, second temple. You got the Bar Kokhba revolt in 132. You've got, let's see, a couple other things that I can put in, the Crusades and the expulsion of the Jews from England and from Spain. These all things happen around this time. So, first of all, let's understand why. Why does he keep allowing these things to happen or causing it to happen if it's going to happen in this window of time? Because it's like he said, the very first thing that happened that way was the spying out of the land. And they came back and they whined and complained without a cause. Right? There was really no reason to get upset. But there's big people and he said to go. Land flowing with milk and honey. So it's almost like the sages kind of refer to it. It's almost like Yahweh said, look, you whined and complained for no reason. I'm going to make you from the rest of your life. Now you're going to find this to be a day where you're going to have reasons to complain, reasons to cry, reasons to be sad. Because after all, you were sad. It's almost like a parent when the child comes over and is whining and screaming, crying, and the father says, come here, I'll give you a reason to cry. You want to cry? Come here, I'll give you a reason, because you're crying for no reason. You want a reason? Come here, I'll give you a reason. And it's almost like Abba was saying that throughout the time. But it's time that's set aside for weeping. But what kind of weeping? Recognizing and owning that you brought the weeping on, or the disaster or the suffering on yourself. Owning your behavior, your choices. So it's a new moon. We talk about this on a regular basis every new moon. It's like a turning of the time page, right? Turning of the page. You can look at it as a new starting point. By the way, you could do this every morning when you get up. You could do this every week after Shabbat. You could do it every year on any one of the holy days that you may want to use it for. But look at it as a turning of a cycle of time. But in doing so, with this particular cycle of time, he's including the thought of looking back and owning anything that was you. Stuff was done to you. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the stuff that you did. Your choices, and then committing to fix that problem by making better choices. Because the poor choices is what's led to all this years and years of horrible things happening at this time. I'm not saying the poor choices led to the terrible thing happening, although a lot of it did. They got kicked out of the land because of their choices. There's no doubt about that. We see Jeremiah warning them and saying, look, Babylon's coming. The Assyrians came and took the northern kingdom because of their choices. So you should be looking back on not all the terrible things in your life, because remember, here it's only listing a handful of things that we can point to historically out of all the thousands of years of history to say these things, these very major events, you should be looking to see what your part was in it. So look through your life and think about, well, not even just your life, look in the last 30 days since the last new moon and say, are there things that I did, choices I made that I should own, learn to make better decisions from by taking the lessons from those poor decisions so I can move forward? This is also like from James chapter 4. It says, lament and mourn and weep. And let your joy be turned to dejection, but humble yourself before the master and he'll lift you up. Okay? And so that's another key piece of this same idea. So as we're going forward, and this time has been set aside for weeping, I want it to also be about, I have this in my notes here, let me just see how I worded it here. I want it to be about hope, about the coming of hope. You know, Tisha B'Av also is about the coming of hope. Like when we read Zechariah, it talks about these fasting days. Why do we have fasting days? They commemorate terrible things. He says, I want to turn those days into joy. That's basically James chapter 4 as well. Let your joy be turned to dejection, but then let that dejection be turned back to joy. Right? By humbling yourself before the master. Okay, that's James 4, verses 5 through 8, I believe. Let me just give you the right. 8 through 10, okay? That sounds close, all right? James 4, verses 8 through 10. So this idea of hope. So I want you to look back and go, man, that was dumb. I need to not do that again. I need to learn from that. I need to commit to learn from that and go forward, but at the same time have a hope that he's allowing you the time to do that, to make better choices, to own what you did, etc., because that's what this journey is about. And so I've told you this every new moon. Look back and see how much progress you've made, or little, either way, and then use that information to inspire you either way to do better, to do more, to continue on the journey. Always remember that you can get there from here. I don't care where here is. I don't care how messed up your life is. If you understand what he's really doing, if you can understand what his expectations are, even though you haven't been meeting them, then you can still get there by making better choices. Go back and listen to the Making Decisions teaching, right? Making decisions is the reason you exist. You exist so he can watch you make choices. It's not about being perfect. It's about wanting to be perfect. It's about wanting to, I mean, by the way, if you want to be perfect, what do you have to do? Figure out whatever is not perfect and fix it. Okay? And does anybody really have an expectation that you won't ever make a mistake? Do you think Yahweh has an expectation that you won't make a mistake? No. But you know what he's watching? He's watching how you handle and respond to when you're aware that you did something you shouldn't do. How quickly do you respond? How quickly do you fix the problem or recommit to not do that anymore? Or you're just going to wallow in, oh, I did it again, I'm just such a loser. Would you want to live with you forever if you're going to do that? Or would you want to live with somebody who goes, you know what, I messed up. And you know what, I'm going to just hunker down and just, not do that again. I'm going to put in more effort, more focus, more commitment. But most of you just get, okay, I know a lot of you worried about this, so I'm going to give you the answer you're looking for. Well, what if I don't make it? Or what makes you so sure I can make it? Okay, I'll tell you how, you want to know the one way not to make it? Is to quit. The one way not to make it, don't believe you can do it. Okay, because that's basically quitting. He wants to see if it's in your heart, not whether or not you do it. If it's in your heart, what are you going to do? Try. If it's in your heart to keep his commandments, you're going to try. And when you fall short, you're going to be mad, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be sorry, and then you're going to get up, and you're going to commit and not make that mistake again and go forward. Well, I've fallen down so many times. Well, keep getting up. The only way not to make it is to not get up. Well, I shouldn't say that. You can get up and just don't care. That's another way not to make it. It's when you no longer care. See, some of you cry and you're all upset. I'm saying, well, that proves you're not done yet. Because if it didn't bother you, then you might be done. If you could do all the dumb things you do and it not bother you, then you're probably in trouble. But if when you do the dumb things you do and it bothers you, there's still hope. There is still hope. I know you're frustrated, mostly with yourself. I know you're frustrated with other things too, but boy, I know a lot of people frustrated with themselves. And we have a very emotionally weak world. And I think, look, there's no doubt in my mind about, I'll talk a little physics here, that we are a vibrational existence, okay? And there's no doubt that, to me, that the creatures that we would call demons feed on certain types of vibration, negative ones, weakness, fear, anxiety. Guess what? It's almost like when you you know what, the radio waves that go out there, the TV waves that go out there, all the stuff that's not actually on a wire like a cable, but the stuff you're getting on your phone that's coming in through the air. You have a device that deciphers that frequency and that pattern of energy and puts it into a picture on your phone or puts it into some video or sound, right? It takes that air. It's in the air. The phone calls being made right now are all in the air around us. You just can't hear it because you don't have a device to hear it. Then your phone, if it's directed towards you, picks up that sound and that vibration and makes it so that you can understand it. Then basically it vibrates through the air into your ear, and then those vibrations are interpreted by your brain. Did you ever walk in a room and there was a mood in the room, and if you were there a while, you ended up picking up the same mood? Like, let's say you were all happy and you walk into a place that's not happy. All of a sudden, your joy is gone. Or maybe not so all of a sudden, over a few minutes or whatever. Or you're feeling pretty down, but you walk in a place where everybody's up. If you can stay there long enough, it'll be hard to stay down. One of two things will happen. You'll bring all of them down, or you will come up. Some of you are really strong and you're down in a room full of people that are up, but they're weak about it, and you can bring the whole room down. Okay? And so I think the demons, Hasatan, that whole group is out there just sending out a frequency that if you're weak, you'll tie into. If you're weak, you'll be sad, depressed, and filled with anxiety to the point where it's debilitating. Okay? And this is something that you need to understand is being done to you, and you have to fight it. Okay? I'm not talking about like prayer, spiritual warfare, whatever Christianity taught you. Just recognize that there's frequencies out there that are generated by those that are not having your best interest that you could be feeding into, which is helping to put you in a mood. Okay? Doesn't certain music make you feel better and certain music make you feel sad? Okay? And so there's that energy. Look, I got a whole lot of people that like me or don't like me because when they walk in a room with me, there's a different level of masculine, strong energy coming in their direction that they are not used to. And they either like it or don't, but it's something they're not used to. But it's the energy that comes from the person. You can feel, do you ever walk in a room and you feel weakness or strength coming from that person that's in the room? Or when they walk in the room, you feel something's different? Absolutely. Look, when I was in martial arts, when I was like 16, 17 years old, we would be in the room waiting for the teacher to show up, just a bunch of us, who got there early and just stretching and getting warmed up and everything. And often enough, he would walk in the door without saying a word, and our backs could be turned, and we knew. You could feel that he walked in the room. And he wasn't doing anything. He just had a very strong vibration of confidence and power for what he was. And that you could feel that and then jump right up and turn because you knew he was there. You didn't hear anything, but you knew. Anybody ever have somebody walk in a room and you just knew it even though you didn't see it? Because that's what we're not understanding about as being vibrational, energetic creatures. You know what part of Yom Kippur is about? When you fast, well, let me say that from a different angle. You know when you eat, it affects your frequency. Your thoughts affect your frequency. So negative thoughts have you vibrating at a lower frequency. Foods can dampen your frequency. When you fast, you know what's happening? You're cleaning up your frequency so you can communicate vertically better. Do you know the vibrational setting for linen puts you at a very, very, very high level if they're going to be interacting directly with Yahweh? They wore the linen. Okay, so you got to start to understand that there's a lot more to this than what we just have in this book or what we just think in science, but understanding that all of this ties together in the way he designed the system. I believe that the demons generally, and you know what? This may help you, it may scare you, I'm sorry. I think they feed on weakness. and they feed on negative emotions. Fear, doubt, sadness, depression, anxiety. They don't generally bother strong people. Not generally. I mean actually strong people. I don't mean like physically just strong people. I mean people that are strong internally without the fear and the doubt or the other negative emotions like power, greed, and just people who are not filled with negative-driven emotions, emotions that are not healthy and positive emotions. And so if you're being bothered by any of them, strengthen yourself. Become a stronger person. And they will leave you alone. That's my opinion. Because I think they need to feed on that, okay? I think of it like this. I lived in New York City. Some people are afraid to live in New York City. Some of you are afraid to go visit, walk in the streets. I used to walk down streets of Manhattan, 2 o'clock in the morning by myself, no fear at all. And you know why? Because I walked down the street like I belonged there, and I had confidence nobody was going to bother me. You know who they're going to bother? You, who look like a victim. Everybody's heard this. People tend to attack people that look like victims. The demons are the same. Because some of you walk around with a victim mentality. Okay? If you don't have the victim mentality, you're not an easy target. And by the way, I think they work the same as the criminals. They're looking for the easy target. Okay? They're looking for the easy target. Why? Look, when you see the predators out in the wild, the lion that's out there looking to attack, some of the animals that are in a flock that's going by, they're looking for the weak, the stragglers, maybe one that's not moving so quick. They're not thinking, ew, it's not going to be as healthy, it's weak. No, they're thinking it's weak, it's easy, I can kill it. Okay? Don't present yourself such an easy target. Build your internal strength. Show that you are 100% vertically connected. Because the more that it's clear that you're his, the more they know they can't touch you. Because you're his. All right? And so, I don't even know how we ended up on all this, but just understand, okay, that this is, again, another time, another month. Oh, I know what it was. It had to do with quitting and weakness and that kind of thing. You're going to make it as long as you still want to make it with as much as you've got. And he wants you to do this with everything you've got. He doesn't say, I want you to love me more than everybody else. I said, I want you to love me with all your strength, all your might, all your strength, all your being. Do you know what happens when most people, even worldly people, want something with all of that? They generally get it. Good or bad, doesn't matter. If they want something with everything they've got, generally they get it. Same thing works with the kingdom. You want it with all you've got. And by the way, why do they get it? Because they figure out everything they need to do to get it. So if you're struggling with this walk, if you want it bad enough, you'll figure out how not to struggle with this walk. Am I making any sense? Okay? So I really want to encourage all of you. You can do this. You must do this. It's for you to do. That's why he put you here, to do this. Stop being a target for all of the other nonsense. Strengthen yourself inside. You were bought and paid for with a price. Okay, just anything bothers you, just remind, hey, you know what? I'm bought and paid for, and the owner is not going to be happy. So you might as well just knock it off. Okay, they know who he is. You see that in the scripture, right? He walked by the guy who had the demons, and the demon's like, whoa, whoa, son of man, don't bother us. It's not time yet, whatever. They knew exactly who he was. He cast them into the pigs and drowned them. All right? And so let's just keep this in mind. Every month, every day, every year, etc., keep your focus properly vertically set. And understand, it's not the mechanics that are everything. The mechanics are the easy part. You need to do them. I'm the only messianic guy out there telling you have to do them. Which is sad. I've never seen another guy out there say you have to do them. But you have to. Okay? But it's the easy part. You have to become a healthy, sound, strong human being. Let this mind be in you. Is there a stronger mind ever been on the earth? Yeshua's mind. He says, let this mind, right, Philippians 2:5. Let this mind be in you. Strongest mind that's ever existed. No, was there any fear in that mind? No. Any doubt in that mind? No. Anxiety? No. Let that mind be in you. And you're thinking, I can't do this. Well, in that case, you're right. If you're going to think that way, you're going to be right. But you know what? If you think you can do it, you'll be right too. Now, I try to get you to understand every time we do this that you can do this, because otherwise he wouldn't have popped your bubble. I'm a facts guy. I'm an evidence guy. To me, there's no point in the God I believe in popping your bubble if you can't make it. That would be teasing. That would be mean-spirited. That would be horrific. That is a horrible thing to do to somebody, to tease them with eternal life that they'll never get to. Now, some of you won't get there just because you'll choose not to. But he wasn't teasing you. You could have got there. All of you can get there. Otherwise, why would he do it? I know you can't see it, but he's smarter than you. He can see it. He knows you can do it even if you don't think you can. So hold on to his belief in you more than yours at the moment, if that's what you have to do. Hold on to that. And then don't just think, don't slip onto the Christian side of this. Well, he called me, so I'm in. No, he didn't call you so you're in. He called you so that you're aware that you can be in, so you could do the things necessary to be in. He didn't call you because you're in. And no, you didn't have to do any kind of a ritual, and now you're in. The pagans do that. They do rituals, and they're in. Okay? Go to all the occultists and the Luciferians and everything else. They do rituals for membership. Extreme rituals, okay? You don't have to do a ritual for membership. You have to make a commitment to answer the call, which means you're going to choose to live a life a certain way. He doesn't want you to offer up anything. He doesn't expect you to be in terms of that kind of a thing. I know we had a temple with offerings, but those temples weren't offerings for membership. Okay, those offerings are part of a system that had you to understand that every time you do something, there's a cost to it. Okay? We have to understand these things. One of the reasons I like the Rosh Chodesh is because I feel like I'm more free to talk about certain things on a Rosh Chodesh than maybe we do on a Saturday. And so I want to give you not just a scriptural teaching, but I want to encourage you with what you've been hearing, what you've been knowing. Live in reality, please. Reality number one, there's a creator. Or number two, he created all of this, and all of this is in his power, authority, and control, period. You are part of the all of this. Truth, reality number three, he decides when and how and who he's going to open up their minds to know who he is. And he never does that unless you can get there. That's just reality. So that means that, and you know that not everybody understands this stuff. You've tried to talk to your parents about it, and your sister and your brother and your cousin and your friends and everybody else, and they cannot receive it. Because without his popping of the bubble, they can't. And it's nothing to be cocky about. It's like you didn't do anything to earn that. You want to talk about what Christianity would call grace, unmerited? Yes, bubble popping is unmerited. Except for one thing. He already knows you can do it if you wanted to. So that's where you merited it. He knew if he popped your bubble at that moment, from that moment forward, if you would choose, you would get there. So it's kind of merited in advance. Now, by the way, it doesn't mean you will get there. You may not choose to do everything that you need to do. That's your choice. I'm here to try to encourage you not to make that mistake. And the big mistake goes back to what I started with, which is you can't get complacent, you can't quit. Never give up. You got to keep moving forward. Okay? It's a struggle. You know, the sort of feed through the energy waves, one of it is discouragement. Oh, that's a good one they've got going out there. That vibration of discouragement. So you do something and they want you to be discouraged by it. Okay, the enemy wants you discouraged. Because you know what people who are discouraged do? Nothing. They wallow, they quit, They stop moving forward because they're discouraged. What's avaba? We'll take the front end of that word off and go to encouraged. Okay? He wants to encourage you, or encourage you, or encourage you. What do you say, Billy? Encourage you. All right? What does that look like? Me telling you you can get there. You can do it. All right? By the way, who's the number one person in your life telling you can't make it? You. It's not a family member. It's not a friend. It's you. Okay? You are the number one person doing that to you. Now, by the way, a lot of you are trying to walk around behind the cameras, didn't realize that camera was on, which is okay, because we're not used to that camera being on, which is fine. It happens. All right, look. It's Rosh Chodesh. We're supposed to celebrate. Why are we celebrating? Well, because time is moving. We're heading towards feast, which is exciting. But more importantly, we're getting 1 day, 1 month, 1 year, whatever it is, closer to the kingdom coming. Now, that should scare you, meaning like from the point of view like, I need to get moving, okay? Not so much scare you like, but I'm saying like, it should be like, time is running out. I have to get serious, like now. You still have time, but you don't know how much time, so why not be serious? Be serious. Okay, now let me just answer a question that came up today from somebody else, but I'll say it for all of you, and then we'll kind of maybe close with this. Some of you are concerned that you're not going to have enough time. Some of you are concerned that you're a little older or something might happen, your health is not right, you won't have enough time. As long as you're doing everything the best you can, the Deuteronomy 8:2, you will at least be in the millennium to finish it out. People thinking, well, where does it say that? It doesn't. I said that. Okay? That's my understanding and interpretation. Listen to the Millennium and Kingdom teaching. That's what I believe he's shown me. So as long as you do, up to your last breath, the best of your ability to make the effort, if it's not a finished job, then you'll get to finish it. I don't think he's going to let you get cut short and not have an opportunity to finish it. However, on the other side of it, I don't want you to slack off thinking, well, I could always do it in the millennium. No. That may cause you not to be there, that attitude. Do you understand? You need to do it now with all your effort to your last breath, and if there's more still to finish by the time that last breath comes, I believe you get the millennium to do it in. Okay? So don't worry about how much time. Just live every day to the fullest, trying to do what you need to do to transform into his image. You understand what I'm saying? Don't worry about how much time you've got. Some of you are going to have, in your lives, some of you are going to die early. Early meaning not when you would have expected or anybody else would have expected. Okay. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about if it's you. Just know if you're going about your Father's business, right, that he has a plan for you that may make that the first resurrection. It may be waiting for the millennial. But it's not going to be you lost. Showing him that you're really not interested in putting the effort may cause you to be lost, where you don't make it, okay? So your greatest danger is fear, doubt, complacency, discouragement, and quit. Okay, those are your dangers to not making it, all right? You can add to it arrogance and other things that have you just saying, I'm just going to do what I want. I don't care what you say. Or I'm going to spin what you want so if it matches what I want, even though it really doesn't. So you could have an arrogance problem, too, from that point of view, right? Where you try to decide, he's okay with it because I decided he's okay with it. Anybody ever talk to people like that? And he usually has words like, well, he knows my heart. He does. I would be scared. Not scared in general, but of using those words, because he does know your heart. He knows that you're full of it, and you're trying to spin things and justify doing what you want. Because if your heart was to do what he wants, you wouldn't be doing what you already know he doesn't want. Because nobody says that phrase unless they're doing something they know he doesn't want them to do. They only use that phrase like, well, he knows I love him, but I'm not going to go to Sabbath services. I'm going to still work anyway. He knows I love him, but I'm still going to eat this bacon. He knows I love him, but I'm going to... No, he doesn't know you love him. He says, if you love me, guard my commands. Speak his love language. You can't just say, I love you. He cares less about those words. He wants to see you love him. See, the words don't require all your strength, might, effort, etc. It doesn't take a lot of effort to use words. Oh, but I love him so much. Show me. That's what he wants to. He says, show me. When situation comes up, guard my commands. Keep the Shabbat, keep the feast, eat right, tithe, don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't steal, right? He's going to be focusing on all those things. What are you doing to show me you love me? And are you doing it trusting that it's going to make you into him, so that's why you're doing it? You're not doing it just because you're trying to impress him with your actions. Your actions show that you trust him and believe that what he says to do is the right thing to do. Right? Amen? Amen. All right. I don't know if I should open up for anybody. Anybody have anything they want to say? We can just end it here. I mean, it's almost 9 o'clock. Other than just saying thank you. That's good. We can just end with thank you. All right. So that being said, we'll go ahead and end here. All right. I'll close in prayer, and then we'll also wish you guys a Rosh Chodesh Sameach if you want to go ahead and stand up. All of you on live stream, just know that we're going to be streaming again on Friday, okay? Just a couple of days away. In 2 days, we'll be on Friday. We'll be streaming our Torah portion service as we're, it's not a service, but a Torah study. On Friday night, we're going to start the book of Deuteronomy, so that's very exciting. It's also exciting because we know that the book of Deuteronomy is the last one before the feast. So, it just makes it more real that we're getting closer and closer to Sukkot. All right, so that being said, Father, we come before you. And Father, I want to ask a special blessing on all those who are having their bubbles popped, that are hearing these words today, that they would be encouraged, that would have no fear and no doubt, that they would love you with all their heart, strength, might, being, everything. That, Father, they would not tie into the frequencies of the world, trying to have them be fearful and filled with anxiety and discouraged and depressed and all of that stuff, that, Father, you would lift them up, and that they might embrace and allow and let the mind of Yeshua be in them. Father, it's a turning of the month. It's Rosh Chodesh for the month of Av. We know this is leading into what historically has been a time of deep introspection as we head towards Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and Sukkot. So, Father, we just want to ask now that you would help us to look in the mirror and see and not walk away and forgetting what we saw. That we could look at ourselves and examine ourselves and then walk away excited with the commitment to take what we saw and make the necessary adjustments. Father, I ask that you would give everyone here to overflowing with your Ruach, to strengthen them in all that they do as we come before you now on this Rosh Chodesh, praising you and giving you all glory and honor in the name above all names, Yeshua our Messiah. Amen. 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 All right. All right, I'm gonna go over here, John, so that we can. Whoa, I almost knocked my trumpet on the floor. All right. Anybody who wants to be on the camera can come on this side. All right, Constantine. Okay, Adar, we don't walk and play on phones at the same time. That's how you run into things. All right, watch out. Agnes is trying to get around. There you go. Okay. There's room for you. Okay, wait until we're done, Agnes. Turn around. Come here. Come here. We're going to go ahead and do our wave goodbye thing. Look at the camera. Here we go. There we go. All right, over here. So we want to let everybody out there know how much we appreciate them and encourage them for this coming new month. So we're going to wish them all a Rosh Chodesh Sameach, and then we're going to tell them that we love them. Okay, here we go. On 3. 1, 2, 3.